Hi, I'm Josh Duhon. I'm the director and writer for Nobody Wins. I've been working on film sets for almost 10 years. Started out on independent sets, did a lot of that, but for 5 years I've been working on union sets doing set lighting. So I do a lot of rigging, but I also just normal set lighting. Well, everybody wants to direct. So, I mean, obviously, but the only way to do that is you gotta write your own stuff. So, I did that. I wrote one and I, put a crew together from all the talented people that I've met over the years doing, stuff in the movie industry. And so, you'd be surprised how many amazing people you can meet along the way. And met so many people, I brought them in and I said, hey, you guys wanna make a movie? And they did. So now we have this amazing movie and I couldn't be happier. So in 2019, I wrote this story. We were actually I was with a group of my friends, and we were looking at possibly going into a film festival. It was like a 48-hour film festival, and the prompt that we got was it all had to take place in one room, and so I started thinking about that and. Unfortunately, we didn't make that film festival, but I'm almost glad we didn't because I think the outcome is so much better because of it. But I took that idea one night, and this was during the time where there was a lot of stuff in the news about police brutality and things like that. And I don't know, I guess that just kind of like hit a nerve for me. So I just kind of took that concept and I started writing one night, and that's what I came up with. So like I got this story. I don't want to spoil too much, but from the writer's perspective, when I was writing it, like I see a lot of that stuff like materialize in my head in a way that like if I were just writing it and I sent it to a studio, like a lot of that would probably not be translated the same way that I did when I was writing it. So by being able to do both roles, I'm able to tell a much more cohesive narrative the way that I intended when I wrote it. So yeah, it's much better. So I would say the biggest challenge making this film was at its very inception. So because I wrote this in 2019, or near the end of 2019, by the time we were ready to once we had all the pre-production done and we were rolling, we were about a month out from shooting. And as you might know, in 2020, COVID happened. And we collectively all looked at that and we decided it would be irresponsible for us to try and shoot through that with such... Nobody knew what was happening, and it was just chaos. So we decided to put everything on hold, and we'd come back to it later. Ultimately, I think that was probably a good thing. We got really busy after that as the normal film industry started ramping up. I started really working on union sets and getting a lot of experience and meeting a lot more people than I had known at that point. And a lot of those people are now, they helped me on this film, and they wouldn't have been the same without them. So I'm kind of glad that happened. Then the writer's strike happened, which was just last year. And during that time, we found ourselves with nothing to do, and we looked at each other and we went, hey, remember that script we wrote, a couple years ago? We were like, I'm not doing anything. Why don't we do that? So we did that. We reached back out to Clint, and he said, let's do it. So we did, and we got the crew together. We shot this all the way we intended back in 2020, and is such a greater project now for having waited the time that we did. I wouldn't advise doing that if you're making your own film, but I don't know, it's just like everything that transpired is like life wanted it to happen, so I'm just thankful that it did. I would say just make more stuff. If you want to be a director, the only way to do it is to make your own stuff. And this is my first film, so I've got a long road ahead of me, surely. But what made this one happen for me is that I was determined enough. I wrote my own story because nobody came to me and asked me to direct this. I decided I was going to direct it. I wrote it. I found someone who believed in the project, and they believed in me. So But that never would have happened if I didn't write my own story and decide that I wanted to do this process and even help produce it in my own way. So without that, like, if you want to direct, that's what you got to do. So the best thing about being on set for me is that when I really get into something, like, I can feel the adrenaline moving, and I just, all the pieces start falling into place, and it's like we're moving at like 100 miles an hour, and in truth we're probably just at walking pace because safety, but everything feels very like you get immersed in your own story, and so just bringing it into life, feeling that adrenaline, that's definitely the best thing about being on set. The worst thing I would say is that you never have enough time. You find yourself fighting it, like you're getting so much and you're in that moment, and then like before you realize it, like 10 hours have passed, and it's like, oh well, we only have 2 hours and we've got like this much, and then you've got to like think about what we're gonna cut, and that's what we did. We did cut some stuff, but I think we got everything we needed. I think we might even be a better project for cutting the stuff that we cut. So both Clint and Mark were phenomenal actors. They gave me exactly the performance that I was looking to get out of them. Mark especially, because Mark just like, he goes into this place like when you give him a script where he's like absorbed the material before. Like, I think he spent more time with that character than I did as the writer, and it showed, because when I came on set to direct some of his voice lines, he'd even changed things a little bit to like fit his own like personal touch. And it's honestly, every time we did like 4 takes, and every time we did a take, it got better, and I'm not sure how he managed that, but like like by the end of it, like I could not help but cry every time he like got to a certain point in the script, and it was crazy. Blair's a true professional. She knows way more about camera than I ever could hope to. Like, I like to think of myself as someone who has a good eye, but like that doesn't compare at all to someone who like, knows the camera in and out, and like actually is a 600 member, and like, knows all the terminology and everything like that. At the end of the day, like, I'm a set lighter who wanted to make his own stuff, and I think I'm a creative person, but it doesn't compare to someone who's just a professional. Well, there's just a lot of camaraderie, and so when you have a group of people who truly believe in your vision, that just helps elevate it to a level that you couldn't quite get to on your own. In fact, every time they would come up with an idea, the idea changes a little bit, and it just becomes a little bit of, well, it's everybody's project, really. And at some point that kind of transcends past what I originally wrote, and I think that's incredibly beautiful. Well, for me, I'm someone who loves watching movies with someone else, especially if it's their first time viewing, because to me, the first viewing of a film is something that's truly special, because you can't get it back. You can only watch it once, or you can only watch it the first time once. And all my favorite movies, there's certain movies I wish I could just rewatch for the first time, like erase my memories. So when I'm rewatching my own movie with someone else, it's almost like I get to relive like watching it for the first time through someone else. And sometimes I can tell, like, when people watching it moves them in a certain way, and it's just, sometimes it's kind of tear-jerking, and I don't know, I just feel it every time that happens. It doesn't always happen, because everybody feels something different when they watch the film, but there have been a couple times where it's just like I can feel that pain that they're feeling, and that's what I was going for. So it's an exhilarating feeling, and I'm not quite sure how to describe it other than to just say that it's really enjoyable, and it's probably why I do this, because I want to tell stories, and I want people to feel something from those stories, and that's important to me. So that's why I write, and that's why I direct. Well, Nobody Wins is about a man who loses something important to him, and it's about how he copes with that. And it's not too much of a secret that this film is about police brutality. That's a large part of what inspired the film and the events that take place in it. But I didn't want to approach that from a direction of like, this is good or this is bad. I obviously have my own opinions, but I don't want to just put my opinions on display. I want someone to watch something that I wrote, and I want them to be able to draw their own conclusions and things from that. That said, at no point do I ever soften the blow. I don't make, the officer in question look like a good guy. He's not the good guy. He is the villain and that's clear from the beginning. But it's not always about that one cop. Sometimes there are other people that know him, and there's just like there's other people that know the main character in the story. And it's really not so much about those characters as much as everybody who knows them and how everybody else is affected by the events that happens. And that's why at the end of the day, nobody wins.